What's happening, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Fighting Words, coast to coast again, Thursday morning, doing it on a different day here after the Phillies take 2 out of 3 games against the Los Angeles Dodgers in what was, at least for the first 2 games, one of the better series, one of the more dramatic series that I can remember in recent memory, at least in terms of regular season play. Anthony's still coming to us from Pasadena, California, and I am here in South Jersey. Big series for the Phillies. They have essentially, not only did they clinch the division, obviously, they've basically wrapped up a first round bye, you would think anyway, 5.5 game lead on the Dodgers with 9 left to play for the Phillies here. So they do exactly what they needed to do and probably then some this week, Anthony. Obviously not a great way to finish the series last night, 5-0 loss, only 3 hits. Want to talk about some of the good, some of the bad, and what it all means as we go down the stretch here and close out the regular season. So I'll bring you in, and you tell me where you want to start things today.
Yeah, well, what I want to say, first of all, is apologies to everybody who normally expects us on a Friday, but my travel plans, both coming home from LA today and then heading out for my anniversary tomorrow, we just figured it made more sense to do this right now before I go and get on my plane and fly home, as opposed to trying to do it at the crack of dawn tomorrow morning. So that's first and foremost. Just want to get that out. Apologies to everybody as to why we're going a day early. But where to start? Look, Bob, I got out here and, I came out here with a personal 9-game road losing streak. And I kind of sat there and I'm watching the beginning of the game on Monday night. And I'm thinking to myself, this is going to be 10 games and it could be 11. Like it just was, you were a little bit worried when they were down early in that game and then they fight their way back and win it. A little bit of a back and forth heavyweight battle there. And I said, okay, good on them. Good on them. And then I thought, okay, well, now they're going to have the hangover on Tuesday. And then they come out and win that game. Again, off of the bullpen, and we're going to get to the red flag of they couldn't hit the Dodgers pitching. Well, starting pitching, we'll get to that in a minute. But again, it's like that's something that this team would not have done before, right?
Yeah.
Like this team was never one of those teams that would be like, okay, put the foot on the pedal and take it the next step. They did that here. So I credit them. I think there's a lot of positive to kind of come out of that clubhouse in the way that they've been playing.
I think it would have been easy Monday night to fall behind and say, probably not our night. Let's get them tomorrow with Christopher Sanchez on the mound. It would have certainly been easy after the celebration on Monday night to fall behind early. You're getting dominated by Shohei Ohtani. It would have been very easy to say, nope, not tonight. Maybe we can win the series tomorrow. They come back again. They've showed a lot of punch, a lot of fight. It's been very impressive to watch them not roll over, keep their foot on the gas, find ways to win. The contributions are coming from everywhere. They've had to overcome adversity not only at the start of the games, but with their own bullpen. I know that the story here is the Dodgers bullpen stinks. Phillies got to them. That's awesome. Phillies have some bullpen things happening themselves, though. They could have just said, not our night. This is a good team. We're on the road. It's hard to win here. And they kept fighting, and they come out with a huge series win, and they do what they have to do. And it creates a lot of conversations about, like, does this team have it? Do they have a little bit of magic? We've talked about the vibes trending in a positive direction. Like all of those things I think are fair to talk about and exciting to think about. So let's talk about that first. I do, obviously, I want to get to the lineup issues against the Dodgers starting pitching, and I think you would be kidding yourself. So, like, what I don't want to do, right, is come on here and say, like, well, I see lots of concerns. This is a great series, and I just don't want to do that right off the bat. But I think you'd be kidding yourself if you said, okay, there might be a potential issue here should they face this team in a few weeks. So let's get to that in a minute. First, let's address the celebration. Like, let's go through the good things. The celebration on Monday night, you've been through a lot of these with this particular group of guys. I used to be through these with this group of guys. How would you rate this relative to what we've seen? And did anything else jump out at you from what you saw Monday night?
Well, I mean, it was still fun. They had a good time. They always do. This was I think the 7th of they've had 9 celebrations since 2022. I think I've been in 7 of them now. So it's kind of become old hat for me. But this one was unique in the sense that clubhouse is tiny at at Dodger Stadium. Really, really small, really cramped. And you have a lot of media out in LA. The Japanese media is out there in full force because of, mostly because of Ohtani, but, the Dodgers have other Japanese players as well. And so, of course, they wanted to document it as well. So we were really, really crammed in. I probably got more wet in this one than I have in any other celebration. But the one thing I will say was, and as fun as it was for them, and we got great video, you can see it. I know everybody saw it already. It did, big time numbers for us on Patterson. I did feel like they recognized, hey, we got a game to play tomorrow, and they didn't overdo it. Like, they celebrated, they had fun, but I kind of think it wrapped up early. I know we left the clubhouse earlier than we would if it was at home. We were in there for a bit. I mean, we did it. Then we went to talk to Rob, and we went back for a little bit. But really, I'd say that celebration was maybe an hour, maybe. Whereas the ones back in Philly, they went on for close to 2 hours in the stadium, and then they carried on across the street at Xfinity Live. Right, like there was a lot more partying, I think, when they were done at home than there was in this one. And I felt like they looked at it and said, "We're not done. We got to win this series. So good on us, but let's go get one more."
All right. So what I saw from afar that I love to see this week. I mean, you get these contributions from everywhere. Like, forget Rafael Marchand. I mean, that's his moment. Scott Fransky had a great call, says he has his moment. That's not something that I'm looking at in terms of like October translation, but you see Brandon Marsh against the lefty deliver a huge home run. You see Bryce Harper have a moment in the first game where he delivers one of his biggest home runs of the year. Like, those are the things I'm looking for. I'm looking for these core guys to come up in big spots and do it. And I think I leave overall feeling really good about the team's fight and the way that the team probably feels and the confidence that the team is playing with. I think that's all good stuff, all something that we should all feel good about in terms of looking at what this may look like in October.
Yeah, the one thing I want to say about the Harper home run, obviously it's a big moment, but for him, so Bryce, even in his biggest moments with the Phillies, yes, he's had a few where he's gotten fired up and whatever, I think back to the grand slam against the Cubs, right? And the way he ran around the bases, a couple of big doubles where, this is my house. He's had a few moments where he's been pretty expressionary with the way he's celebrated. This one was a little bit different. Like, he was individually celebrating this one.
Yeah.
This one was a fist pump, some hand claps as he's running around the bases, almost as if he needed it for himself to kind of come out of his shell. Like, it's been a long season for him with injury, underperformance a little bit, some other frustrations with the way that the offense has been going. He's not been the guy. Schwarber and Turner have kind of been ahead of him this year. And so, like, for Bryce to have that moment and that individual kind of self-celebration as part of it, I think that was huge. I think that was very important. It was very noticeable. And it kind of is like, yeah, Bryce is still part of this. Bryce is still here. Bryce is still a star player who can change a game with the swing of a bat, right? So, like, all of those things mattered in and of themselves. So I think it's good that you pointed that out, because I think that that's a huge thing for Bryce Harper himself.
Yeah, they got big contributions. Bryson Stott had some key plate appearances in this series. Otto Kemp gave them a little bit of a jolt. Max Kepler homered in the second game. I mean, there were a lot of things happening up and down the order. And, we talked a little bit about this, I guess, on Monday's show. And I brought this up with Mike Gill this week when I was on his show. We talk about vibes, and, Harrison Bader receives a lot of credit for that and changing the way things have felt here. And there's no doubt that there's a lot of credit that he deserves for that. But I think when you talk about the overall feeling of a team, what's more important is that the contributions are coming from multiple places. It's not just the starting pitchers go out and they dominate and you hold on to a 3-2 lead. It's that you're getting it from Stott. You're getting it from a guy like Otto Kemp. You're getting it from a Marchand. You're getting it from Max Kepler. You're getting it from
Weston Wilson.
Weston Wilson with the maybe the biggest hit of them all in that series, really. When you get it from multiple places, I think it creates a different level of investment. It's not like guys are just along for the ride. It really creates we're all in this together type of sense. And I think that can do wonders for a team's confidence in the way that things feel in terms of the overall energy, and that we're going to go get these guys tonight and we're coming for you type of, it has a galvanizing effect, I think. And that's what I want to see from these guys. And I said it, the X factor to me, when you look at their ability to compete in October, sure, you need good starting pitching. You have to hold leads. You need your stars to be stars. But I think what gets the Phillies over the hump here, if they are going to get over the hump, is those contributions continuing to come from unexpected places. And they've not really had a lot of answers for that at different parts over the last 2 years. And right now they're getting it in, and they're getting a lot of them.
Yeah, and that's a good point as well, Bob, because they don't win this series without Otto Kemp. They don't win this series without Weston Wilson. They don't win this series without Rafael Marchand. Like these are your guys who are currently 26, 27, 28, I guess, on your depth chart, right? At least 12, 13, 14, well, 11, 12, 13 among the hitters. Stubbs would be 14. But they're guys that are not going to be your everyday guys come the playoffs. Yeah, Weston Wilson's probably going to play against lefties. If Kemp makes the roster, he might get an opportunity against a lefty, but Marchand's certainly not going to play again, and yet these are the guys that have just won the biggest series of the season for the Phillies. You got to feel good about them. If you can get contributions, and again, it doesn't have to be the same guy every night, but if you get the bottom of that lineup contributing and providing 1 or 2 runs a game, and then the big boys are at the top doing what they do, the Phillies lineup is far longer, far deeper, and far more dangerous than maybe we thought. But they got to hit against certain pitchers. And I know we wanted to hold off on this a little bit, but it's worth noting. And I don't think it's a major thing right now because you don't know if you're even going to play the Dodgers. But I think there's a high likelihood that you play the Dodgers in the playoffs. And then in the 3 games out here, they had 3 hits total against Dodgers starters. Now, granted, Emmett Sheehan didn't officially start his game. Came in after 3 batters, and then pitched 5 2/3, gave up 1 hit. Ohtani pitched 5 innings, gave up no hits. And then last night, Blake Snell goes 7 innings and gives up 2 hits and strikes out 12. So The Phillies really, really struggled against those starters. I'm not super concerned because I think the Dodgers overmanage and they pull their pitchers early and go to the bullpen too quick and whatever. But the reality of it is that they face those 3 guys, and the Dodgers have a Tyler Glasnow who they didn't see. They had a Yamamoto who the Phillies didn't see. If it's a 5-game series, 2 of those guys are going to be pitching out of the bullpen. So that Dodgers bullpen suddenly gets better.
Oh, you just took my whole thing, because do I think you're going to see Emmett Sheehan necessarily as a starter in a playoff series? Probably not. But could you see him out of the bullpen for multiple innings? You sure could. And they had some horrendous at-bats against him. And like you said, it's Glasnow, it's Yamamoto. I think that there's a world, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but Roki Sasaki's not back, but he's coming. Do they use him out of the bullpen? Maybe. Yeah, I think that's in play. So here's
the one interesting thing, just to tack onto that real fast. Ohtani told Japanese media while he was out here that he would consider playing the outfield in the playoffs, and they would need to do that only if they were going to use him as a reliever and not
Dave
as a
Roberts, yesterday had also kind of said, we think he's a starter, but have we talked about maybe helping some of our bullpen issues by moving Ohtani to a relief role? That I guess that's on the table for them as well. Look, I mean, the Dodgers bullpen is vulnerable. That's where the Phillies did their damage. Credit to the Phillies. It's hard to do that. It's hard to make up that type of ground on back-to-back nights against a good team, especially after you've been quiet for 5 innings. So that I don't want to frame that as a negative development, but like you said it, the Dodgers sort of have we talked all year about the Phillies surplus of starting pitching and how it can help fortify a bullpen that is somewhat lackluster. Like, well, guess what? The Phillies aren't the only team that can do that. The Dodgers have starting pitching options, and they have some really intriguing talent that probably can slot in and fill some of those gaps out of the bullpen. And Philly struggled against a lot of those guys, like you said, and they didn't see Glasnow. They did not see Yamamoto. Like, these are their dudes. So I am a little bit concerned about what that would look like. They struck out 24 times in 17 plus innings against those three starters. And yes, you said it. Gian did not start the game, but he was the starter. Like, look, I don't necessarily mean that means that the Phillies can't hit these guys in a few weeks. But like, I certainly would not. What I cannot do here is say, well, they won 2 out of 3 against the Dodgers in LA, so that gives me more confidence that they're going to win a postseason series against them next month. I don't think that the result of this series, maybe for their own feeling, like we came in and had some success in the stadium, we're not doing the House of Horrors thing that the Phillies seem to be susceptible to. We don't have to worry about that storyline, but I can't tell you that it makes me feel any better about a potential matchup a few weeks from here. That's just the way I feel about it. I don't want to, piss negative all over this thing. I really don't. I'm excited about the Phillies. I'm more excited about the Phillies right now and their chances to win a World Series than I have been all year, including opening day. But I mean, that was problematic. Those at bats were god awful last night.
If you wake up, you're Mr. Gambling, Mr. Betting lines and everything. When we wake up this morning, who is the odds-on favorite to go to the World Series out of the National League?
It's probably the Dodgers.
I'm pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure it is still the
DraftKings. The other day, DraftKings had moved the Phillies. This was on Tuesday morning. Had moved the Phillies ahead of the Dodgers, and I was surprised by that. I went to some of the other sports books, and the Dodgers had still been the favorite. And look, I mean, I think that that's somewhat telling in a way, in that, the Dodgers are going to have to play an extra series. And,
right.
I think that kind of tells you what you need to know. I mean, look, the Dodgers have the highline talent. They have a certain pedigree. I don't trust Dave Roberts a ton, but, he bullpenned his way to a World Series last year. You have to give him some credit for that. I think that, I don't know. I don't know where I'm at on a potential Phillies Dodgers postseason prediction, but
no, and I don't know where I'm at yet either. And that, I may not get to where I need to be until we're right up against it. The one thing I will say that I think the Dodgers have an advantage over the Phillies is I think they're deeper. And I know they're deeper, right? Yeah. And there's just more there, so that if something goes wrong, if a guy is not pitching well, if a guy is injured, they have another dude to just step right in.
Yeah, like their plan B could be Emmett Sheehan, or it could be a guy, and I don't know what Sasaki is at this point, but like if he's up and he's a factor, it could be him. You have options, whereas you're like, well, Walker Buehler, if Jesus Luzardo isn't Jesus Luzardo, we can go to Walker Buehler. And I'm not saying you can't win like that, but they have an advantage, the Dodgers do, in that scenario. And the other thing is, like, in that you have to come back, part of it is that you didn't get the lead in the first. I know the Phillies scored first on Monday night, but they built themselves a deficit midway through the game. I thought Ranger Suarez was good. I thought Christopher Sanchez, credit to him, he overcomes a rocky second inning, gets through 7, good. I thought Jesus
threw a lot of strikes, dude. He threw 75 strikes in that game. That's a lot.
That, like Luzardo, we were talking before the show, he gets you into the 8th inning and then he runs into some trouble. Luzardo was good for 7. He had a little bit of problem in the second inning. But whereas you're talking about the Dodgers starting pitching blowing the doors off the Phillies starters were fine. They were good. They were competitive, but they weren't like dazzling. You weren't like, oh my God, get ready, LA. These 3 guys just totally, were mystifying for 7 innings. Like that didn't happen either. So I think that it's certainly a positive, a net win, the 3 games, so much good to talk about, but let's just be real about what we saw here this week.
So here's what I'm going to be real about. If anybody who's listened to the show for as long as we've done it, this and the previous iteration of it, I have always been the guy who has said pitching is the reason I trust this team, the reason I like them as a potential World Series championship team is because of their pitching. And while their pitching is still very good, they're not going to win anything unless they out-hit teams this postseason.
Yeah.
And that's just it. That's the bottom line. And this series was an example of that. Yeah. And they did out-hit the Dodgers, but they did it against the bullpen. But that's how they won the series. The starters were fine. They kept them in the games. That's all you can really ask your starters to do. Keep you in the game. You don't have to go out and dominate. Great if you did, but you don't have to. But keep it right there so that we can win this game. We're the best team in baseball in the 7th inning on and scoring runs. That's what the Phillies are going to have to do to win this year. It's not about the pitching. It's about the lineup.
Yeah, and I mean, the one thing we did not talk about, hey, the Dodgers bullpen, it's vulnerable. The Phillies got to it. Great job. I mean, the other thing that did happen in this series is that the Dodgers got to the Phillies bullpen. I mean, they blew leads in the 7th and 9th inning on Monday night. They blew a lead in the 8th inning on Tuesday night. Like, the Phillies bullpen also had its own issues in this series. And, you know, it kind of comes back to, like, who do you trust? Like, Duran is Duran, and you are committed to him fully in the 9th inning, and most nights you feel really good about it. He came back after a little bit of the hiccup late with the home run on Monday. Where did he get through the 9th and 12 pitches on Tuesday night? And it was great. And so I'm still ultra confident in him, but, you know.
Part of the order, too.
Yeah, heart of the order. Robertson, though, as great as he was working out of a jam on Monday night to get the save or whatever, on Tuesday night, there was a problem. Ryan Kerkering, like, dude, I'm just at the point where it's like, how do you?
I think they've lost confidence in him, and that's why they went to Robertson Tuesday night. They didn't want to go to Robertson. That was a third appearance in 4 days for him.
Yeah,
and he was obviously on a very short leash because he only faced the 3 batters, and then they took him out of the game. But it was like cross your fingers and hope kind of thing, in that situation. Because I think Ryan Kerkering's at a point now where it's like, he's not a guy in the 7th. He struck
out the side in that inning on Monday, right? And it was a home run.
Give up a home run. Yeah.
And like that inning is like a perfect representation of the frustration with him, in that you're like, well, the stuff is there, and we've seen him compete at a high level for long stretches. But it just feels like this season, especially these last 2 months or so, it's just gotten to a point where you're like, I cannot trust this guy. And I don't know what it means for him moving forward and how he's viewed internally by this organization moving forward. He's still super young. He's obviously got a live arm, but my God, man, like, it's almost like you expect him to kill you at this point.
Rob said the other night, I was kicking myself because in the back of my mind, as I was walking down, and what a walk, I got to tell you, from the press box down to the clubhouse at Dodger Stadium. It's a hike. That said, on the way down, I kept saying to myself, hey, don't forget to ask Rob about Kerkering. And then I got in the clubhouse and completely forgot to ask Rob about Kerkering. But last week he had said, when Kerkering was struggling, that he wasn't trusting his pitches right now. And I think that's when people, and you see Smy Guy says, Ryan just can't throw strikes. I think that's what the fans see that, but it's what the Phillies see is that he doesn't have confidence in the pitch. So he's not trying to put it, in the zone. He's trying to get guys to chase it. Right. And so that's part of the problem with Ryan Kerkering right now. He needs to start trusting his stuff again. And until he does, he's going to continue to be a problem. It's just the way it is.
100% right. The other thing I want to do here before we kind of move along is just look, and I think we're going to be a little bit shorter today. Quite honestly, I have a million things I have to take care of, but I want to talk a little bit about what
I got to drive an hour to the airport. It's only 12 miles, but I got to drive an hour to the airport.
That'll take you a while. Yeah. I want to take a look a little bit at the National League landscape right now in terms of the playoff picture. And one of the things that I sort of looked at after last night, I just said to myself, there's no world. I mean, I would have probably risked the mortgage to say the Phillies weren't going to sweep the Dodgers in LA. I had no expectation of the Phillies winning that game last night, but I will say this. It was a bit disappointing in that, one, I just don't really think Blake Snell's that good. Maybe I'm wrong. I know his numbers are good. He's got a 2.4 ERA. So I know he gets guys out, but I don't think he's an automatic, dominant guy. He certainly does not get deep into games. He's a 5-6 innings max type of guy. The Dodgers bullpen had really been bleeding entering last night. They had used all of their big arms. I thought the Phillies actually had an opportunity last night to go in there and sweep. Like when I said I didn't expect them to sweep, I didn't at the start of the series. But when last night was starting to take shape, I said, I wonder if they can do this. And I think they have a shot. And they didn't, and that's fine. I don't think it really is all that impactful. I don't think the Phillies have any shot at getting the 1 seed at this point. I know that the Brewers have the Padres next week. I just don't think, given what that's at this point, that they're going to leapfrog them by 3.5 games over the final 9. So I think the Phillies are kind of where they are. They're going to be the 2 seed, barring something catastrophic or crazy. Not a big deal. But where it does hurt is I'd like to see the Dodgers not win the NL West. I'd like to get the Dodgers the hell out of the NL West. And the Padres took care of business against the Mets last night. And I'm like, let's make this a thing. Let's make this weird. Let's get the Padres one back behind the Dodgers going into the Dodgers 4 games with the Giants this weekend and see what happens here. And I think that game last night was impactful that way. I don't know how you view it or what you think about this landscape at a high level, but that's where I'll start the conversation.
Well, so I look at it this way, Bob, and I say, okay, so the Phillies are probably going to be the 2 seed. They can still catch Milwaukee. They're not that far behind them.
I don't see it.
But Milwaukee's schedule's too easy in my mind, and I think that the Brewers hold on to the 1 and the Phillies are going to be the 2. I know they're trying for it. Like they've talked about it out here. Like that is a goal of theirs to catch the Brewers. And who knows? Maybe they get incredibly hot in the last homestand against 2 bad teams, and the Brewers cough 1 or 2 up, and all of a sudden you're there, right? I mean, who knows? But I'm gonna go off the premise that Milwaukee's 1 and the Phillies are 2. With that said, like, do you prefer to play the Padres? Let's look at it this way. Do you prefer that it's Padres Mets or Dodgers Mets? And then who do you want out of those 3 teams the most? Because that's really what it's going to come down to at this point. Can the Diamondbacks or the Giants or the Reds catch the Mets? Yes, but at this point, I don't think it's
who do I want now that like last week happened? There's multiple ways to look at this. I think that a lot of people would answer Padres because the Mets, you don't really want to go down that road again. You don't want to be spooked. You're going to have to go to Citi Field. I get it. The Padres, they don't have the same top end players that the Dodgers do. And the Dodgers starting pitching, it scares me. It does. And Padres have decent starting pitching. They have a very good bullpen. They have some big time players as well. The answer is the Mets. And it's not close.
Yeah.
And for a few reasons. Like, just hear me out here. 1, the Mets are not nearly as good as the Padres or the Dodgers. And 2, like, this isn't me like with the false bravado, puffing out the chest thing. But like, if you want to be a champion and you are this big bad machine that you think you are, go beat the Mets. Like, go get your revenge. Go do, like, come on. If you lose to them, here's what I would say. If you lose to the Mets 2 years in a row in the postseason, then you are a bunch of losers. And that is the tag that you should be designated with. And when we look back at this run, be like, they could not beat the Diamondbacks in 2 games at home in the NLCS when they had everything in their favor. And they couldn't beat the New York Mets in back-to-back seasons. They were eliminated by the Mets. Then who, not who cares. I'm not saying like who cares. Like everyone's going to care. You're going to be furious. But like you got to slay that dragon. It's not even a dragon. It's like slaying a butterfly. Like, come on, man. And not that you'd ever want to hurt a butterfly, but like, seriously, like you got to.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
Like we could do the I'm afraid of Citi Field thing, which like I am, that's why I said there's no false bravado here. Like I think that's real for them. Like you got to go beat the Mets. Like if you had an opportunity to line up against that team as opposed to the other 2, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you, Bob. I'm in agreement with you that the Mets are the best matchup of the 3. The Padres don't have the starting pitching that I think the Dodgers have, obviously. So that's an advantage. Like maybe you can get to their starters early. And their lineup has been inconsistent. I just wonder if the Padres, because there is a lot of talent there. I just wonder if the Padres are one of those teams that are just kind of sandbagging it until the postseason, and then they feel like they can turn it on. I don't know if you can do that, but if they look at it like, we can just get in and then we get into that wild card, we win that series. Now we got the momentum and be like the Phillies were in 22 and have the, the top end talent and get some momentum going in their direction. They could be a dangerous team. So maybe I would probably go Mets is number 1 preference, Padres number 2, Dodgers number 3. I would rather play the Dodgers in a 7-game series than I would in the 5-game series.
How would the Padres line up? I mean, is Pivetta there 2 right now?
He might be their one.
That's a different level of emotional hurt. Like the Mets get you in 24 and then Pivetta knocks you out in 25.
I mean, he might be their one. I mean, who are you going to start ahead of him?
Well, Darvish has not been great. Obviously, Dylan
Right.
Cease has not had a good year. I mean, Dylan Cease is arm.
King's back now. I mean, maybe if King is himself,
who goes for them tonight? Randy Vasquez. So I mean,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's probably Nick Pivetta. It's probably their game one starter in the playoffs. Now, granted, they're going to have to go through a wild card series. So if you're the Phillies, you're not getting Pivetta in game one. You're going to get their third or fourth pitcher in game one, depending on how the wild card round would go. So you're only going to get one start out of Nick Pivetta, not two, likely. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. I mean, like that's what it is. So that's why I put the Padres as a more preferred opponent in the 5-game series than the Dodgers. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Well, I mean, are you on board with that? Is that how you see it? 1 Brewers, 2 Phillies, 3 Dodgers, 4 Cubs, right? 5
Padres,
6 Mets. Any shot the Mets blow this?
Well, yeah. I mean, the Mets are the Mets, man. Like
I know mathematically, yes. I mean, are we talking about a world next week where like the Mets are really in trouble? I mean, they're 1.5 right now over the Diamondbacks. The Reds are 2 back. The Giants are 2 back. I think the Giants are in trouble. I mean, 4 games in LA is going to be tough. That's going to be tough.
Especially since those games matter to the Dodgers.
I don't know where the Reds factor in. They get the Cubs this weekend, I believe, for 4 in Chicago, which is not obviously easy. But what do the Cubs have to play for in this moment? Really nothing.
Yeah.
They're
the Mets remaining schedule have 9 games left. Well, 10. I'm sorry, they play the Padres tonight. So that's an important game in this conversation, right? Then they have 3 against the Nats, who stink. But then they go on a 6-game road trip to end the season. 3 against the Cubs. That's a tough series for the Mets. And then 3 in Miami. And the Marlins played them really well.
What are the Cubs doing? Like, do the Cubs care right now? Like, I don't. Where the Cubs have no motivation.
Well, they're playing for home field. They want to ensure home field in that wild card, right? I mean, I think those games will matter in that regard. Yeah. I mean, maybe not all 3, but
what are they up right now? So the Cubs are 24 games. I mean, I don't know, man. They've got some work to do to blow that. They have a 5-game lead on San Diego. You know, I mean,
that's what I'm saying. But they got to lock it up. So
it's
probable that series will be where they would have to lock it up.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah, I mean, then the Phillies have this interesting thing where they still need to do some work to get the bye, so that you can't mess around too much. But you got the Diamondbacks sitting right there, and like that's where you really like to see the Phillies win last night, because you go, hey, go Arizona, win 2 out of 3 this weekend, get the Mets.
Yeah,
not that I really want to do the Diamondbacks any favors either. Like there's some ghosts with them as well, but.
We had somebody. Here it is. The comment earlier. Greg G says, "Is it bad? I go into this next series not worrying about results. I want to buy, which is pretty locked up, but I want the Mets to continue to be pressured by other wild card teams."
Yeah. Look, I mean, I kind of get it. That's sort of what I'm saying. You know, like let those guys sweat a little bit more.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an interesting landscape. It's going to be a heck of a postseason. I mean, it feels wide open. It really does. Like if you say, all right, your teams are going to be the Brewers, Phillies, Dodgers, Cubs, Padres, and Mets. Of those 6 teams, the Mets are the only team that I do not believe. I think the Mets would have enough to be dangerous for a series. Like, could the Mets take out the Dodgers? Like, I think so. Like
3-game series, anybody can take anybody
Mets
out.
Absolutely take out the Dodgers. That McLean kid pitches like he's been throwing, and they get something out. I don't even know who the hell their number 2 guy is at this point, but could they win a series? Sure. Could they take out the Phillies? Yeah, for sure. I don't think the Mets have enough to do it 3 straight series and get to a World Series. Those other 5 teams wouldn't be stunned if any of them were in the World Series at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why I still think the Phillies are going to the World Series. That's why I haven't been like, oh yeah, Phillies are going to the World Series now, because they beat the Dodgers 2 out of 3.
Yeah. Same thing in the American League, man. Like if you look out there, like who's the favorite?
Yeah, you feel great about the Blue Jays. You're playing well, but like Blue
They
Jays, the
are.
Tigers.
I mean, the Mariners are on fire.
Yeah, Mariners have been hot. I don't know. I mean,
You know who
that field is probably set. I mean, I don't think that the Guardians. I give the Guardians credit in that one, they're not that good. Like their expected win loss, they have negative 25 run differential. The Guardians do, and they're 9 games over 500 when their expected win loss based on that is 5 under. So like and they've obviously had bullpen issues and the Class A stuff, and they were going to sell at the deadline and the whole deal. I credit them for hanging around, but the field is going to be Mariners, Red Sox, Yankees, Astros, Tigers, Blue Jays.
Yes, probably.
Yeah,
I agree. I agree.
mean, the Rangers had a shot until 4 games ago. They've gone into the tank. So
yeah,
that's
completely. There was one thing that we were supposed to get to last show.
Yes.
And we forgot, and I want to get to it in this one. So, end of season award kind of stuff. We talk a lot about Phillies players this year over the course of the year in competing for awards. Obviously, Schwarber, the talk for him to be MVP. He's probably going to be runner up to Ohtani when all is said and done. Earlier in the year, there was talk of both Wheeler and Sanchez being finalists for Cy Young. Obviously, Wheeler gets hurt. He's not going to be there now. Sanchez will probably be a finalist, but no one's beaten Paul Skeens at this point. So he's probably a runner-up as well. Trey Turner's got a shot at the batting title, which no Philly has won since Richie Ashburn. Depends on, Nico Horner's making a big push right now for it. Depends on when Trey comes back, how many at-bats he gets, things like that. So there's a chance he loses that as well. So the Phillies might be shut out of awards at the end of the season.
Would Turner qualify if he does not have another at-bat?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. Right.
I believe he's got enough. Maybe Bryson Stott is in the Gold Glove conversation, but I still think Horner probably beats him out at second base. I don't think a Phillies pitcher is going to get the Gold Glove this year. So, they're going to be shut out of awards. Except, here's one I want to throw at you, Bob. Considering all the Phillies have been through this year, with injuries and everything else, Alvarado suspension, some of the offseason moves not working out like they had planned, Rob Thompson deserved consideration for Manager of the Year this year.
Yes, he does. I have a weird question off of this, though. Look, I think we might have touched on this last week, but there's always this idea that, you spend a lot of money, you better win. And teams that don't spend a lot of money are at a disadvantage. And if you can manage an inferior payroll or a lesser payroll to great heights, that it kind of positions you favorably to win that award. I push back on that a little bit. If you look at the Phillies' biggest earners this year, let's talk about the Phillies' big payday guys. Nick Castellanos, $20 million. Kyle Schwarber has been awesome. He's different, $20 million. Put him off to the side. Bryce Harper, $25 million. He's had a good year. He's had to overcome some stuff. There's been some massaging probably needed with Bryce at times. JT Realmuto, horrible start. Very good middle of the season to finish. Aaron Nola, $24 million plus, has been a zero. I don't mean that to be disrespectful to Aaron Nola, but Aaron Nola has been a total zero this season. It's been a net negative, right. Aaron Nola, $24 million. Your big time arm in Zach Wheeler. He's missed the last month. He's going to be out 2 months entirely at the end when you've played some of your best baseball. I look at Trey Turner. Trey Turner's missing time. You're playing some of your best baseball, key series, huge series, statement wins, dramatic moments without him. So what I see is a lot of money and not a lot of return from certain players. I think that you've had to navigate a very dicey situation with Nick Castellanos, and I keep saying landing the plane lately. I don't think that Nick is totally bought in on all of this, but it's not a dumpster fire. He's not being disruptive necessarily. And I think that you had to massage that situation to get to this point where he is now a role player. Max Kepler, you bring in pretty decent amount of money. He has not had a good year. He's been good for the last 5 weeks or so. You had to navigate Max Kepler and his usage and get him to buy into the role that he's been in. I look at it where it has not been an easy, this is not plug and go. This is not plug and play for Rob Thompson. Look at all this big money that I'm spending or that this team spent. And I just get to sit back and put my hands up and watch it go. I mean, he's really had to navigate quite a bit here to make this thing go the way that it has. And so I give him a lot of credit for that. Now, tactically, I don't always agree with him. Sometimes I think he's a little bit sleepy. I do, and I think that worked against them in 24. But I think that there's no doubt that Rob does a pretty good job at handling his guys and getting a lot out of them. So I think that this year he's maybe done, other than 22, where he just turned around a disaster and got them to where he got them. I think this is his best job he's done in the last 3 years. So I think you could certainly make the argument that Rob Thompson is a manager of the year candidate.
Yeah, and I think it's been his best managing job. And what I mean by that is exactly all the things that you just talked about, right? I think in 22 he was just a change of pace. He was a guy that let the players be the players. He was, a players manager, and it basically unleashed their talent. He didn't have to do a lot of strategic managing. He didn't have to do a lot of personality management. He just kind of let them be them in a lot of ways, like Charlie Manuel let the Phillies be the Phillies when he took over. And I think that's why they were so successful in 22. Whereas this year, I think he's had to manage a lot more. And like you said, there are times where he makes decisions in the game. You're like, what the hell are you doing, Rob? Like, that doesn't make sense. But I think on the whole, when you look at it holistically, you look at the entirety of the season, the job that he has done has been superior to me than any other manager in the National League, including Pat Murphy, who I think a lot of people think is the favorite for this. And I understand why, because the Brewers are a small market team who has the best record in baseball, surprised a lot of people. Nobody thought they were going to beat out the Cubs, and look what they've done, all that good stuff. And I think Murphy's done a great job there. But Murphy did that last year too. So I'm not seeing anything like that's unique or different about the way Pat Murphy's managing this team. Whereas I see a change in Rob Thompson over what we've seen the last couple of years.
What's really funny about this is that I think most of us would agree, especially post-Wheeler injury, that this is not a great Phillies team. Like, this isn't a great Phillies team. This isn't a powerhouse machine of a Phillies team. It's a bullpen that's, it's all right. It's okay. It's maybe a little above average now, but for most of the season, it's a terrible bullpen. It's a team that has a good starting rotation, but has dealt with issues. Jesus Luzardo has struggled at times. Ranger Suarez has struggled at times. Aaron Nola was not here for 3 months. Their ace has been out. And we talk so much about this. It's an aging lineup, and where's the punch? And like, you say all of these things about this team, but if they were to win 2 out of 3 games this weekend, and they were to win 5 of their final 6, which is not an impossibility given that it's the Marlins and the Twins, and you go 7-2 over your final 9 games, that would put them behind only the 2011, 1977, and 1976 Phillies as the best team in the history of this franchise in the regular season. It's 98 wins. I mean, and this is not a team that anybody would say, now, people are hopeful and like maybe they can win the World Series, but nobody at any point this season was like, this team's a fucking machine. Watch out for the Phillies. And here they are.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think the manager deserves some credit for that.
Let me ask you this. If they go out and they wilt in the postseason, is there any shot that they don't bring this guy back after all the nice things we just said about him?
Yes, they do. There is that. So that's the interesting thing with this whole thing, Bob. Like, he's done in my mind, he's done a great job this regular season. But this is not about just the regular season. So there's a real possibility that if they go out and they get same thing like last year, no matter who the opponent is, but like get bounced in the DS and look bad doing so, that they look at it and go, maybe we need somebody else.
Yeah.
To get us.
We're going to start turning the page on this core a little bit. It's maybe time is now to do this as well here. I don't know. I'm sure there are baseball examples of this, but it feels a little like It feels like a little bit of the Dungy Gruden Bucks thing back in the day where, Tony Dungy's obviously a great coach. He's turned things around. He's got them on the doorstep. They can't break through. Maybe you go in a different direction. So I'm with you. I actually do think myself it's possible. I think that there's some validity in that thought if they go out early and quick and look bad doing so. But I also do think you can make a very compelling argument that he's been the best manager, or has done the best job. I don't see he's the best manager, but has done the best job this season, given what he's been up against. And I know you could go through all these teams. They all have injuries. They all have shit they have to overcome. I'm not saying that some of these guys didn't overcome other things, but I think Rob's done a nice job overall this year.
Yeah.
This was the best.
One last thing, Bob.
By the way. That was the best. We should have led with that.
Yeah, it was a good one, right? Well, we were supposed to talk about it last episode. I completely forgot. One last thing, and I hate to end with a downer, but there's a great article, and I urge people to read it. Jeff Passan and ESPN put out an article about the labor situation in baseball, basically saying that the tipping point. It's not just the money the Dodgers spend, but the tipping point was the contract that they gave Tanner Scott. Because it's one thing to go out and give Ohtani the contract that he got, or to sign Blake Snell or whatever else, and have all this money, pay more money in taxes than 6 teams pay in their actual payroll. All that aside, the ability to go out and blow the market away on a relief pitcher and get the Yankees of all teams to complain about it. That's how baseball goes. Okay, we got a problem. So owners want to put in a salary cap. Players are dead set against it. We all know this. This is not a surprise. It's probably going to bring labor strife in 27 to the point that season's probably not going to start on time, if happen at all. So, we'll get to that down the line. I don't want to talk about that specifically, but what I do want to ask you, considering the landscape of the sport, does baseball, in your mind, need a salary cap, or is this just the owners bitching because they don't want to spend the money?
Yeah, I don't ever want to give ownerships an out for not spending money. When you look at the Pirates of the world, I think that's a disgrace. And so I am always hesitant to side with, the ownership sides in these conversations. Like that said, also, I'm a big supporter of, if you're going to make this amount of revenue as a sport, then the players should continue to make more and more money. Like I align on that front. But from a competitive standpoint, do I think it would be nice if all of the teams had a little bit more of equal footing? Sure. In order to do that, they should probably just spend more, but they some can't, some won't, some just, are cheap. It's weird because I'm looking at the National League and the American League playoff picture right now. And I just said to you, I was like, 5 different teams can win it. So is the sport really broken in that way? It's not like, oh, it's the Dodgers and everyone else, or it's the Yankees and everyone else in the American League. There are a number of teams that can win a championship this year. And I understand some of them have high payrolls and that's why they're there. I get it. But it's not like this is a 2-man show. The playoffs are wide open. I think that there's still enough parity that exists where I don't know that it's that big of a problem. I guess that's the way I look at it. The other part of it, though, is it really would be nice as a Pirates fan to feel like I got a shot. So I just don't know. I don't really know. It's an interesting conversation. I just don't think they're going to end up with it. I guess that's where I'm at. And what I'd like to see, it would be kind of nice to see teams be penalized almost. I know the Eagles sort of circumvent the salary cap because they do a lot of dead money and they kick the future years. And so there's always going to be ways around it. But in a way, I admire that model and setting up a similar tack because if you want to spend, you can still find ways to spend more cash within a salary cap structure. I'd like to see teams be penalized for stupid moves, though. You want to go throw a ton of money at a guy like Tanner Scott who stinks? Then, you should have to eat that a little bit, Yeah. So there's so many different arguments, and it's a shit show, and I get why it is. Because even in what I just rattled off there in a stream of consciousness way, there's compelling arguments on both sides of this.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not a fan of salary caps. I'm not. I'm a believer that if you want to own a baseball team, your goal should be to win. It should not just be I'm investing in this because I can make money off it, and if I all I have to do is manage it at a level so that I'm staying in the black, and then I'm going to make money. It doesn't matter if the team's really good or not. I mean, I look at the Colorado Rockies, for example, right? I mean, there's an ownership group out there that was looking at incredible fan attendance for 3 decades, and the team's never really been good, right? And doesn't really matter because they were turning a profit. Now the fans are finally starting to back off, and I think they're realizing the error of their ways, and maybe they're going to fix it. We'll see. But they've been from a talent perspective, a poverty franchise for far too long because their ownership has been getting away with we're turning a profit, and that's all we care about, right? So, like to me, I'm always against ownership of that kind.
I think the problem is, could you find 30 owners? Like, do 30 owners or potential future owners exist in this world where you say, like, it's time to force some of these lame ownership groups out, and we're going to have 30 human beings or ownership groups run teams in an all-in capacity? Like, that's the dream, is it not?
Well, look at European soccer. Like I think at the top levels, that's kind of what you have, right? I mean, the one thing about European soccer, and I'm not suggesting that there needs to be relegation in baseball by any stretch of the imagination, but what that does is it forces ownership to spend to be, to be the marketed teams, to be the teams that everybody's talking about, to be the teams that have the ability to get the best players. That all comes from ownership being willing to spend. Right. So those teams that are in the top division are all owned by owners that want to win.
Yeah.
And so then the secondary teams, the teams that get relegated or lower divisions, whatever, maybe those owners aren't as committed. Right. It's why if you look at what, Rob Mack, and with Wrexham, and they're moving them up, you're talking about an ownership group that has money, that's willing to spend, and it's like, look, we're going to get there. And this is what we're doing. We're trying to make our way up the ladder to get to where we want to go because it's an ownership group that's intent on winning and intent on spending to win. I think in baseball, so in essence, to answer your question, can you get that in baseball? You can, but you can't have it be a good old boy network, right? Where it's just like, oh yeah, we're all buddy. It doesn't matter. Oh, you don't want to win. That's okay. You're making your money. Ha, all good. Capitalist society. Great. It should be, you have to want to win, man. You have to want to win. And I think that's got to, the league should be able to look at ownership and say, if after X amount of time, you haven't done this, you haven't done well, and your payroll's never been above a certain point, it's time to
the tension becomes like the likelihood of that happening is pretty slim, right? Like a union would have to, you'd have to have a faction of like owners who are like driving that, and you'd have to have the strongest union on earth to really like shift the scales in that way. I mean, I think that what you just outlined is great.
Yeah, it's idealistic, but it's not going to happen.
Sure it is. And so what does this leave you as this negotiation comes about? And
it leaves a messy, a mess is what it leaves. It's millionaires fighting with billionaires, and all the. But
this time, and the general public and the regular fan does not. Yeah. They do not want to hear about this. They don't want to. It's millionaires versus billionaires. That's how these things always get framed, and it's true.
Yeah,
but there are some deep issues here with very valid points on both sides. And while we have no tolerance for this, I think we're going to be in for.
Yes.
And the thing that's different about this than from like a 94 is that there wasn't a way to control the narrative the way there is now. Like, you didn't, as a fan, have access to information. You might open up the newspaper the next day and see what a national reporter has to say about the labor negotiations, or you might see Sports Center that night, or turn on Baseball Tonight, or whatever the hell was going on. Now, so much of this is going to be a PR battle in the way it unfolds through social media. Like, these like information brokers of the sport are going to dictate public sentiment, I think, and how this unfolds.
Yeah.
So I hope
really
I hope the union and the ownership groups are all starting to make their cases and their talking points to all of the, all of the influencers of the world.
Yeah, well, all I have to say is you start sharpening your pencils, Bob, because in about 13 months, 14 months, that's all Fighting Words is going to be for
Yeah, I don't think
for several months.
I don't think that the start of the 27 season happens on time. That's for sure.
I don't know.
I would
do not
take that
either.
bet right now.
Yeah, I don't think it starts on time either. It gets worse before it gets better.
Well, fortunately, the Phillies have a bunch of young kids that are able to withstand a year gap in the sport, and it'll be great.
Exactly.
Right,
All right.
it.
Well, that'll be it for us on this episode of Fighting Words. By the way, we didn't make our picks for the Diamondback series.
It doesn't matter. I've been wrong like 3 times in a row now. So
I know.
I'm going to stay on it, though. I'm a hater. I'm going to take Arizona 2 out of 3.
I mean, look, Arizona's got more to play for right now, right? And we didn't even discuss the Taiwan Walker Buehler piggyback that they're going with on Friday
Feels
night.
like a loss.
Yeah, that one does feel like a loss to me as well. I will side with you. I will go 2 out of 3 with the Diamondbacks, just because games mean so much more to them right now, than they do the Phillies. So that's what we'll do. And we'll talk about.
Do you think if the Phillies clinch the bye, that Garrett Stubbs will lead the team in bathing in the pool?
So our Grace Del Pizzo is out there covering that series for us, and I said to her, if there is some kind of celebration, I don't know if there will be, but if there is, look for the pool thing, because that was such a big deal.
Yeah,
a couple years ago. Yeah, that was not even meant. It was taken out of context completely, and everybody jumped on it. And I said, I wouldn't be surprised if they troll everybody by doing that. So,
as you know, the 23 Phillies did not go to the World Series because Garrett Stubbs made comments about celebrating in the pool.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, so I'm with you. 2 out of 3 for the Diamondbacks. But we will be back on Monday at some point, because that's when I'm coming home from my anniversary trip. We'll figure that out. We'll discuss that offline. We don't have to do it on at this point. We'll figure it out. But in the interim, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Pandora, wherever you get your podcasts. Best place right here. Subscribe to Fighting Words on YouTube. Click the thumbs up, ring the bell, make sure you never miss a show. That's how everybody who hopped in today knew that we were going live, because we didn't announce it. We didn't tell anybody that we were going on Thursday instead of Friday. But yet everybody who joined us on the show today, they knew, because they are subscribed right here on YouTube. If you're listening to the podcast feed, you want to do that, it's on youtube.com/@fightingwords. So for Bob Wankel, I'm Anthony Sanfilippo saying thanks for tuning in, everyone. Have a great weekend, and we will talk to you on Monday.